We're here for sentencing. Anything from the state?
Your Honor, this occurred on October 10th of 2025, Your Honor. At the time, the defendant was either 18 or 19 years old. And the facts are, this is 2 counts of failure to comply. One is the risk he caused, and secondly is because he was fleeing from commission of a felony. And that felony is the grand theft of motor vehicle that you see he was convicted of as well. And what's interesting about this is the reason why he was caught is because there have been a number of complaints from the exact apartment complex where these cars are being stolen. And so the police began to simply watch that area and watch the defendant steal a Dodge Charger. The report indicates that the officer observed 2 vehicles, the Dodge Charger and another vehicle, a Hyundai sedan, accelerate rapidly out of the apartment complex and head southbound on Springs Boulevard. The officer tried to stop them, and he says the vehicles did not yield and instead increased speed significantly. While fleeing, both vehicles illegally passed an uninvolved vehicle on WO line, and then they continued westbound on Austin Boulevard, weaving in and out of traffic at a high rate of speed. As vehicles approached the intersection of Austin Boulevard and Springboro Pike, which is 741, the Dodge Charger, operated by the defendant, lost control and struck a Dodge station wagon, pushing it off the roadway and into the grass. He then, his car is now disabled, so he got out and ran, and the officer finally was able to apprehend him. Judge, the reason I mentioned the day of the offense, so I would first submit to you, obviously, you have an individual who is out stealing cars, runs from the police, and endangers the life of another individual because not only passing the cars he did, but then striking another motor vehicle while he was operating the way that he was. By the way, as an aside, Judge, there's a request for $31,300 in restitution because of damage he created, and in a surprising twist, he did not have insurance. So, Judge, this happened on October 10th. On 9/25/25, so 2-3 weeks beforehand, he was charged in Montgomery County for failure to comply. That case was pending when he committed this offense. On 10/29/25, he was charged with attempted grand theft of a motor vehicle in Montgomery County. So 19 days after he's arrested on this case, he's stealing cars in Montgomery County again. He has been adjudicated as a juvenile, because again, he's only 19 right now, for felony 4 grand theft, F1 aggravated robbery, and felony 4 receiving stolen property. And Judge, I would submit to you, when you consider his record, the activities he engaged in before and after this offense, and the facts of the offense and the risk he created to the public, that there really is no other option than to send him to prison. And we would ask you to send him to prison for at least 24 months based on all this information, and of course, order the restitution that we've requested. I believe he has 163 days of credit.
Okay. Anything on Mr. Robinson?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Your Honor, I'd like to begin with Mr. Robinson's acceptance of responsibility for the charges that he has pled guilty to. He began accepting responsibility for his actions that night immediately upon his apprehension by law enforcement. He never attempted to mislead the investigators, minimize his involvement, or answer questions in an untruthful manner. In fact, Your Honor, he treated officers with respect. He addressed them as sir and fully cooperated with the investigation and admitted to law enforcement officers his involvement in the events of that night. Throughout the life of this case, Your Honor, in discussing it with Ms. Smith, who is Mr. Robinson's attorney, has been on the case from the beginning, as well as his Montgomery County case, Mr. Robinson has never once sought to excuse or diminish the seriousness of his conduct. He is well aware that his actions created a substantial risk of harm and could have resulted in far more severe consequences than what happened on that night. However, no individual did suffer a physical injury. There was no weapon involved. Mr. Robinson immediately accepted responsibility for his actions by candidly admitting to law enforcement what he was doing on that night. In addition, Your Honor, he has sought to resolve this case by way of a guilty plea and spare the state, law enforcement, as well as the court the burden of further proceedings. There was discussion about Mr. Robinson's Montgomery County case, and he has been sentenced on that case. He was sentenced to 12 months incarceration to run concurrent with any sentence he does receive here. If the court were inclined to sentence Mr. Robinson to prison, we would ask
They can't run concurrent. The sentence they give to what I did, that unless they plan on sentencing him later, I mean, if I gave him a sentence before that and he was starting to serve time, they could run it concurrent.
I understand, Your Honor. May I back up just briefly?
Sure.
He was sentenced to 12 months there. We would ask this court to impose any sentence in this case to run concurrent to what he is serving in Montgomery County.
Okay, that's different.
I
Yeah,
apologize. My mouth was moving faster than my
That's
brain
okay.
was.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, some background on Mr. Robinson. He is the only adult male figure in his household. He does reside with his mother, his grandmother, his aunt, and his younger sister, some of whom are present in the court today to show their support for Mr. Robinson. During his upbringing, he had no adult male mentorship or guidance during some of the most formative years of his life. On November 21st of 2020, when Mr. Robinson was 13 years old, his father, Jerome Robinson, was shot and killed. Mr. Robinson's death was memorialized by the Montgomery County Homicide Memorial, and it is my understanding that at this time, no individual has been brought to be held responsible for the death of Mr. Robinson's father. Additionally, thereafter, Your Honor, Mr. Robinson's uncle was killed in a motor vehicle accident. These were two very important male figures in his life. And without this guidance and structure or effective intervention following these traumatic events, Mr. Robinson became increasingly susceptible to negative peer influences, poor decision-making, and spent time in the company of peers who encouraged and normalized criminal behavior. At this time, the court is now presented with an 18-year-old defendant whose criminal behavior is closely intertwined with unresolved trauma, addiction, immaturity, lack of education, and negative peer influence. Mr. Robinson also admitted in his PSI that he was under the influence of OxyContin during these offenses. We would ask this court to impose a sentence that does protect the public from future crime, punish the offender, and promote rehabilitation using minimum sanctions without imposing an unnecessary burden on governmental resources. We'd ask this court to impose a minimum prison sanction if that is what the court chooses. We believe that Mr. Robinson would benefit greatly from therapy, from intervention, from assistance, education, mentorship, and many other things that can be provided to him so that if he is sentenced to prison, when he is released, he is able to contribute meaningfully to society and grow into the young man he is destined to be. He's ready to put his past behind him, be conscious of the past that brought him before this court today, and move on so that he can continue to be the provider for his family. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Robinson, is there anything you want to say, sir?
Yes, Your Honor. I just want to say, sorry. I just want to say I take accountability for my actions that I committed in the community, Your Honor. And the days that I spent in a Warren County jail, I just want to say that I grew as a young man. And I want to put my past in the past. Just live my life right from this day forward, Your Honor.
Okay. I read this last night, yesterday evening, and I had to read it again to make sure I was reading everything right. First of all, I thought you were 20 when I first looked at it, but you're only 19 years old. You only went to the 9th grade, but you took a gun to school, right?
Yes, sir.
You said your relationship with your mother was close, tight, daily contact. Relationship with your sister, Kinley, is close. Relationship with Jernay and Hope, your half-siblings, is close. Relationship with Jamie Grayson, your stepmother, is close and tight. Seems like you can read this and tell deep down you're a decent person who's been very troubled, and you're diagnosed. I think this may be the first time I've ever seen this diagnosis of conduct disorder. Adolescent onset conduct disorder means basically you've got a disorder that you can't control your conduct. That's pretty dangerous. really. But you have accepted responsibility. You're still young enough that if you turn yourself around, you can have a decent life. If not, you kind of got an idea of where it's headed, don't you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, there has to be a price to pay for this. I wish this weren't the case. I really do. How long has he been serving that 12-month sentence?
I believe he was sentenced in late May, early June.
Okay,
that.
so in a month. How long have you been incarcerated?
Since January 29th.
January?
Yes, sir.
Okay, how much credit does he have with us?
163 days.
Okay, all right, the sentence is 2 years. Credit for 163 days. On count 1, the sentence is 2 years, credit for 163 days. On count 2, sentence is 12 months on count 3, 12 months on count 4, 12 months on count 5. All of those are to run concurrent. And this case will run concurrent with the sentence he's now serving.
Judge, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I want to point something
Oh,
out.
I've got to have a consecutive.
That has to be, at least, I believe that at least one of them had to be consecutive, so the 12 months would be consecutive.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna, since I made that mistake, I'm gonna modify that to 6 months. And modify, count 1 is 18 months, count 2 is 18 months, count 3 is 12 months, count 4 is 6 months, count 5 is 6 months, count 4 is to run consecutive to count 1 for a total of 2 years, and count 2, 3, and 5 are to run concurrent with count 1. Credit for 160, whatever, 2 days. Driver's license suspension is for 5 years. Is there a mandatory fine in this case?
There's not a mandatory fine, Judge, but again, we would ask for the order of restitution as well.
Restitution is $30,000.
$31,300, Your Honor.
That's ordered, $31,300. Waive cost, waive fines. You have a right to appeal this sentence. You have 30 days from today to file a notice of appeal. If you cannot afford an attorney will be appointed to represent you. I want to make sure he's paying attention to what I'm saying.
Yes, Your Honor.
If you can't afford an attorney will be appointed to represent you. Any document you need to be provided at no cost. Do you have any questions, sir?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, that's all. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
A chaotic scene unfolding early Friday morning. Springboro police say an officer saw 2 vehicles speeding away from Moderate Way. This is in a residential neighborhood near a luxury apartment complex. According to SPD, officers witnessed each make multiple traffic violations and attempted to make a stop. That's when both vehicles sped off.
Pursuit of Dodge Charger northbound on Yankee.
One of the vehicles, a stolen black Dodge Charger, crashed a few miles away near the intersection of Austin Boulevard and State Route 741 in Montgomery County.
They crashed out all.
Calls for service between responding officers and Warren County Dispatch reveal one person was apprehended immediately after the crash.
I got one in custody on the ground. The other one's fled somewhere around Austin.
Now, SPD has identified one of the suspects as 18-year-old Javian Robinson. He was booked into the Warren County Jail after being checked out at a hospital. Robinson is facing charges including failure to comply with the lawful order of a police officer, obstructing official business, and theft of a motor vehicle.